Hello, I'm Dale Petrock. I had my some of my rifles out to the range today to see how they would do on USBR targets, shooting SK standard plus for ammo. The first rifle I had out there today was a CZ457 MTR. It has a reduced trigger spring and an Athlon Argos scope that is 10 to 40 power. The reduced trigger spring brings it in at about 8 ounces. The second I had out there was its twin, I call it, the CZ number 2, which is just based on the purchase date, which is a CC457 MTR that has a jarred trigger and a Swampfox 6x24 scope Patriot version on it. The only difference is the jarred has about a 3-ounce trigger pull, while the other rifle has about an 8-ounce trigger pull. The last rifle I had was an Anschutz 1761 MSR that I took out there to see how it would do, and it has a Swampfox Kentucky Long on it that has 5 to 30 power. It has a trigger pull, it's about 8 ounces as well. The trigger pull makes a big difference in the wind. You'll notice in the weather today, it was partly sunny. There was some wind coming across, mostly from my left to my right, and it was blowing somewhere between 0 and 15 miles an hour. It would come up and it would drop off. Sometimes it was at the end of the rifle range, and sometimes it was at the head of the rifle range, so it wasn't consistent across. So it makes it a little difficult to kind of shoot. I was shooting across some homemade wind flags, and they worked fine, but that did add some challenge to this particular thing. However, the same challenge across all rifles, so I don't think it made much of a difference. It was a little quieter when I started. I had the range to myself. However, I don't think the noise from other people using the range impacted anything at all. The first rifle I shot was a CZ 457, the CZ, what I call number 2. It has a jarred trigger. I put a bag rider on it, Sinclair bag rider, and shot it straight up using various magazines. I load the magazines up ahead of time so I don't have to worry about a cold bore shot. I start by taking and firing the rifle to sight it in. It had been recently cleaned, and so and shot, I think, lasted about 100 yards, so it needed a little tweak to get it back into 50-yard shooting shape. The score that it obtained was a 229 with 0 X's, as you'll see in the picture. The second rifle then was a CZ457 MTR. It's the one with the reduced trigger spring. It's at 8 ounces. It has a bigger scope. So what I find interesting when I'm shooting the two rifles is the trigger on the jarred trigger makes one much easier to shoot, particularly in the wind, because the wind is moving me on the bench, and so the ability to kind of squeeze off a shot without that added energy being pent up in the tension of pulling the trigger seems to make a difference. However, the 40 power scope makes being able to find the center on the USBR target a lot easier to locate and shoot, and so there's some advantage there. But overall, I think the advantage of the 3-ounce trigger on the jarred trigger makes a significant impact in terms of that process. And the difference in scores is that the second CZ MTR was a 223 with 2 X's. So it's not much different than the previous one in terms of score, the 229 versus 223. And some of that certainly is impacted by my probably shooting. However, there were a couple of rounds on the second set of shots that were unusual compared to what I would have expected. So you may have picked up an anomaly with the ammo a little differently. Then the last target I shot with a Anschutz 1761 MSR, the silhouette version, and it shot a 237 and 3Xs. It continues to outperform the CZs in the head-to-head matches that we have tried thus far. The last time I shot a USB target with that rifle, I was shooting center X, and it shot a 238. So it's not substantially different than the last time I shot the rifle here with standard plus. So all in all, this particular outcome suggests that trigger pull makes a big difference in the wind to me. The 8 ounces on the Anschutz is a lot harder to keep focused with when the wind's blowing me than is a 3 ounce. But when I'm aiming at something as small as the 10 ring on a USBR target. That said, the Anschutz continues to outperform. So in this head-to-head matchup with USBR targets, we again see the Anschutz coming out slightly better than the MTRs from CZ. If there's any questions, as always, let me know. Otherwise, may all your shooting be X's. Thank you.